Call to order, Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. According to the Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting of May 14, 2025 was published in the Bergen Record and Herald News on January 8, 2025, and was sent to our town. The executive session meeting notice was published in the Bergen Record and Herald News on May 4, 2025. In addition, copies of said notice are and have been available to the public and are on file in the office of the Township Clerk. May I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Opichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Mayor, Committeeman Trulinski will be absent from today's meeting. And Mayor Judge Carvello.
Here. Okay, I'd like to just move a little bit off this agenda, move up the executive session. We come back and do the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. May I have a motion to go into executive session, which is Resolution 25-146?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Opichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello.
Yes. Okay, we'll be in a closed session till 7 p.m. approximately. That is going to be call to order. May I have a motion to enter out of executive session back into regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second? Roll call?
Committeewoman Opichi?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Judge Carvello.
Yes. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Alrighty. Okay, let's go now. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. This evening, can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? You have to press the button. Is it on? Hold on. There you go. Is it on?
It's on
Now you can hear me? Okay, great. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. I appreciate everyone being here. We have a couple of proclamations. I do, if you look at the agenda, it's quite long. And I have to kind of apologize for it being so long, but not apologize, because for many years things have not been done or followed through on. And we're finally getting to be able to do that now, working very hard. All together we can get these things done, and we're moving it forward. So with that being said, we have 3 proclamations. We have our Law Enforcement Appreciation Month, our Military Appreciation Month, and our National Public Works Week. I will do these proclamations in a second, but I also want to recognize that it was Teachers Appreciation Week, it was Nurses Appreciation Week, it is Mental Health Month, and I know that our police officers are in training. Administrator Dean, Chief, would you please explain something on that?
Sure, Mayor, absolutely. And I happened to attend the Care Plus Foundation fundraiser last night, and they sponsor and run the CIT training, which is a crisis intervention training. The captain and I made a commitment, I guess almost 2 years ago, to start sending all of our officers through that training. What that does is it prepares them for dealing with people in mental health crises. I know Sergeant Burke, I know you've been. I actually recently, probably 8 months ago, happened to be on the road, heard a call come in, and witnessed Sergeant LeBoy utilize the techniques that he learned. He directly utilized them, and one of our residents, a young resident, 15 years old, with substantial mental health crisis. Officer Boyd got down on his knees and basically sat down on the ground and was able to get that child to sit with him and talk, and finally get that child reunited with his parents. But we were one of the first agencies to jump on board based on the feedback I got from my officers that have gone for that training. And we were also about the 3rd municipality in this area of Bergen County to sign on to the ARRIVE program, which is funded by a grant from the Attorney General's office that allows basically mental health professionals to be on scene with officers. Right now, we have the program where we refer right away, and that it's so far it's working, and I think it's just going to be expanded. And Care Plus happens to have a facility here at 365 West Passaic Street, so we have a wonderful relationship with them.
So even with Mental Awareness Month, there is a number, I think it's 988, that is out there now. Is that the phone number that people can call if there is someone they need to talk? Is it 988?
They recently changed that to be a suicide prevention hotline.
So
Okay,
988.
well, it could help somebody, God forbid, if somebody needs help, they can talk to somebody before anything bad happens. This is something that we all have to be aware of is there's a lot of times things happen that could make people uneasy, and that's the best way of putting it. I've been in the medical profession for many years and have seen it. So with that being said, I appreciate the law enforcement taking this course. And I appreciate officers actually just sitting down on the floor and having a conversation, and hopefully it worked out well.
It did.
Great. So that's a great training program, and again, we appreciate all you guys do. So with that being said, I have three of them here. I have law enforcement, military, and I have DPW. There's Dave over there. Okay. So let's start with the law enforcement. I'd ask the Township Committee to come with me, please. I think we all should be a part of this.
You mind if I go, man?
Yeah.
Would you like the gentleman to come up?
Yes, please. Please, officers. Yes. Yep.
I just want to stand. No one else is dancing.
What is on now? I don't want to answer that question.
It makes us all
I'm
look
perfectly
small.
happy.
He's very, come on over, Chief. Come on over.
Oh, you're out.
You're on this side. No, Please. So this is a proclamation for our law enforcement, and it says Law Enforcement Appreciation Month, May 2025. We do have a police officer flag on the pole. Thank you for that donation right now. Our police officers are diligently handling many, many calls. Recently, there was one with a 6-month-old baby left in a car. And luckily, it was spotted by somebody, and our police officers responded. Really, thank you. Also, there was another one with Officer Kiska, with quite a car full of guns and very bad stuff, is the best way of putting it. But I'm not going to individually point out a police officer because they're all doing great jobs. They're all working hard. They are 24/7 in our town, and they continue to protect the residents every single day, and we thank them for it. So to do that, this proclamation, and Law Enforcement Appreciation Month, whereas the safety and well-being of the residents of Rochelle Park are utmost importance, whereas law enforcement officers serve as guardians of peace and justice in our community, standing as a symbol of dedication, courage, integrity, and whereas these men and women risk their lives each day to protect citizens, enforce our laws, and uphold the values of our democracy. Whereas the Rochelle Park Township of Rochelle Park recognizes the sacrifices made by our local, county, state, federal law enforcers and their families in the performance of their duties. Now, also we're including families because being a member of a police officer's family is quite difficult sometimes, and they see a lot and deal with a lot of tragedies. So we want to continue to look at the families on that too. Whereas May is national recognition as Law Enforcement Appreciation Month, providing an opportunity to honor and express our gratitude for the service and commitment of our law enforcement personnel. Whereas the members of the Rochelle Park Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service and risk their lives in order to ensure public safety. And now, therefore, be resolved that the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Rochelle Park do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Month in Rochelle Park, and call upon all residents to show their appreciation for the dedicated service provided by our law enforcement professionals. Be it resolved, further resolved, that the township encourages all citizens, businesses, schools, and organizations to support and recognize law enforcement officers' contributions to safety and quality of life in our community, dated this 14th day of May in the year 2005. This is from the mayor, and thank you so much, Chief, for all you do. Thank you. All righty. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Edward, how are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Don't come yet?
Thank you.
How are you? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody, come on up. Come on up. Everybody that wants to be with the So this one is. I'm right here. So this one, we have Commander Dunny here with us today, and everyone else that, sorry, I don't know.
Introduce Ben Maloney and Vice Commander.
Vice Commander.
Kevin Farwell, he's a veteran officer, veteran family.
Veteran family, very nice, thank you. And I know that's your son, and he's deployed now.
He's deployed, so in the Middle East right now.
Right, thank you for that. And
His stepson Connor.
your stepson Connor's deployed also. Oh, that's beautiful. Sir,
My name is Ed Kaiser,
He's one of my
and
veterans.
one of the veterans.
Good.
the last time I was in this building, it was a machine shop.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. That was way back in the day. Yes,
We used to have the block dancers in the back.
yes.
You grew up in town?
Oh, I did. I've been here over 60 years.
What was your maiden name?
Judge. I'm one of the judge girls.
Oh, cool.
There's
Lift up a little bit, but you probably went to school with my sisters.
Probably, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of us. There's 7 total. Okay.
Auxiliary and Sons of the American Legion.
Right, thank you so much. So the American Legion here in Rochelle Park has been here for a very, very long time and has dedicated many, many, many hours to our veterans, whether they have served or they're serving now. My son-in-law is, being deployed tomorrow to Gaza, the Gaza Strip, and they just got married. So, he's a special forces Marine, so I know it's something. My father was in the Navy, and he was one time commander of the American Legion a few years ago, William Judge. So my sister was in the Army. I have a very veteran family also. I know Tommy's grandfather was in the service. Mr. Miller, your family?
My grandfather was in the military.
My father, your father. So we all understand this quite well. And that is why we have this flag out front for our veterans. And we have a proclamation for Military Appreciation Month, May 2025. Whereas the United States of America owes the success and preservation of its freedom, security, and democracy to the dedicated men and women who serve and have served in the United States Armed Forces. And whereas Military Appreciation Month is observed each May to honor the courage, commitment, and sacrifice of our service members in all branches of the military, past and present. Whereas the Township of Rochelle Park recognizes and deeply appreciates the contributions and sacrifices of all veterans, active duty, military personnel, and their families who have answered the call to serve with honor and bravery. Whereas it is fitting and proper to honor the spirit of patriotism that these individuals embody, and to encourage all citizens to express their gratitude for the freedom secured through their selfless dedication. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the Township Committee of the Township of Rochelle Park to hereby proclaim May 2025 as Military Appreciation Month in Rochelle Park, and urge all residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to recognize and honor the service and sacrifice of our military heroes. Be it further resolved, the Township pledges continued support to our military community and encourage educational and commemorative activities throughout the month, and I believe forever. Dated this 14th day of May in the year of 2025. Thank you.
And Mayor, I think it's appropriate to recognize that the hometown hero banners have been hung up around town.
Everybody's got to squeeze in.
Okay, then.
Get closer, get closer.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you guys don't touch on this
Thank you so much for being here.
Read on that one.
Thanks so much. I'll see you over there.
Yeah, we have just read.
Senior citizen.
Dave Brown.
Dave's like, no.
Who else is here?
Just Dave. Just Dave, so Dave has to go up.
All right, Dave,
You gotta take it for the team.
come on.
Kate requested to be in the middle, so I'm actually going to create this spot for him. Let's sit down, guys. Sit down.
Ready? So, Dave Brown is our Superintendent of Public Works. And as being the liaison, I didn't mention I was also the liaison to the police department, and I appreciate everything they do. Last year I was a liaison to DPW, and I got to see firsthand of the continuous work these gentlemen do, day in and day out. They are called out for emergencies. They are called out in snowstorms. They work continuously, many, many hours continuously during snowstorms. And I dare say floods. I don't want to say that too loud, but they are a very large backbone to our community. And they need to be recognized because the DPW doesn't always get the recognition they deserve, and they really, really deserve it. Like I said, I got to see it firsthand last year and witness the machinery, the equipment, all of the stuff. And it's done by how many we have now? Seven? Seven of them. So that's a lot of work, including sewage work they also do. So we want to give a little proclamation here, and it's National Public Works Week, May 18th to 24th, 2025, People, Purpose, and Presence. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are of vital importance to sustain and the resilient community and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the township, of the people of the Township of Rochelle Park. Whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees of all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our national transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is the public's interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the Township of Rochelle Park to gain knowledge of the maintenance and ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and the public works program in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Rochelle Park do hereby designate the week of May 18th to 24th, 2025, a National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Dated this 14th day of May, the year 2025. Thank you, Mr.
Speechless.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that's all we have right now.
Okay.
Say it again. No, I'm good. I'll call you next one. You good? I'll get that for you. No, it's fine.
Oh, fine. It's good seeing you. Thank you. Alrighty. All right, so I'll give it a second. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Take care. I know. Okay. Alrighty. So continuing on, I'll just go through correspondence. So, Mrs. Kim?
There we have one piece of correspondence from Top Cashback. I will read it into the record. Okay. On behalf of Top Cashback USA Incorporated, I am pleased to submit a $500 donation to the Shade Tree Trust Fund of the Township of Rochelle Park. This donation is made in support of the Township's tree planting initiatives and in recognition of Earth Month. We're proud to contribute to the beautification and environmental stewardship of the local community.
Very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate any and all donations for our trees. I see Mr. Warren is here, who is our Environmental and Shade Tree Commissioner. Thank you for your donation. And anybody want to say anything for that right now? No? Okay, so then thank you again. We're going to move forward. The adoption of the minutes, public session April 23rd, 2025, and executive session April 23rd, 2025. All right, so we're going to do the approval of the agenda also.
Mayor,
So we have to, yes,
before we approve the agenda, can I say something really quick?
absolutely.
I just want to address the public. There's an empty seat on the dais tonight. Matt Sherwinski could not be here tonight because he's attending his son's graduation from medical school. The whole family's there. He says he gives his apologies for not being here, but I just want to congratulate the Sherwinski family, Dylan Sherwinski, for finishing medical school. What a challenging feat. What a huge accomplishment, and congratulations to the Sherwinski family.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I was going to also say that in a minute, but thank you for bringing it to the attention. I know Dylan Sherwinski since he was maybe 2. I'm going to go way back, and I know Dylan is a very, very bright young man. He, from what I understand, is going to be pursuing a residency in internal medicine and a fellowship in cardiac prevention. I am very, very proud of Dylan. I've known him for years and years and years and watched him grow, and it is a great honor to have your children in this field. Like I said, I've been in this medical field. Now, I'm not a doctor, even though nurses are mostly sometimes doctors, but he has worked extremely hard. So when Matt could not be here tonight, I said, that's okay. Go to your son's medical graduation. That's very, very important. He knows the importance of township meetings. but that's also family first, right? So we look at it that way. Again, I have to applaud him and say, you know what, Dr. Dillon, great job. So good job for that. I want to say thank you for that. All right. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to, can I get there? May I have a motion to adopt the minutes from April 23rd, 2025, public and executive?
I'll make the motion.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
passes.
thank you. Approval of the agenda. All right, there's a few changes on this agenda. Again, it's quite a long agenda. Clerk, Ms. Kim, would you explain the changes on the agenda for the resolutions?
Yes. The first change we have is to ordinance 123425, which is an ordinance to amend Chapter 50 entitled Alcoholic Beverages of the Township Code of the Township of Rochelle Park. The one change that we made here, I will read into the record. It's going to be that the annual license fees for the plenary retail consumption license and a plenary retail distribution license in the Township of Rochelle Park outlined in this ordinance shall be subject to an annual increase of 20% or $500, whichever is less, until the fees reach a maximum of $2,500.
Very good.
So that will be the one change made to that ordinance,
And that's ordinance number
1234-25.
Okay. And the second one?
The second one, we will be adding a resolution on 25-167, which will be authorization of an escrow agreement with the Ramada. The resolution is long, so I will not be reading it into the record. However, that is what the Township Committee has agreed upon. Another resolution.
May I stop you 1 second
Yes,
there,
yes.
please? Council, will you explain that resolution so everybody understands it's for an escrow account?
Yes, so as what happens is, in actually almost all municipalities, when a developer looks to redevelop a property in a community, the municipality will typically ask the developer to pay for all fees associated with reviewing any plans or any discussions regarding the development of the property. This resolution establishes an escrow account requiring the developer to cover any and all costs incurred by the municipality in reviewing any proposals or plans that he may submit to the municipality for consideration. This does not in any way include a pilot. The agreement does not require or bind the municipality to any type of project whatsoever. Other than that, they will entertain and consider and review any proposal that's presented.
Great. So, hold on 1 second, please. You have a comment. You'll have a comment, please.
You couldn't hear what you said.
You couldn't hear him?
No, you couldn't hear who the developer from the beginning, Ms. Kim said. Could you just repeat?
Oh, who the developer is?
Yes.
It's Fairview Realty Associates LLC and Rochelle Park Associates LLC, otherwise known as.
The Ramada.
Yes.
Okay. So, they want to have talks, any developer wants to have talks with the township. Taxpayers are not going to pay for it. That's the way I look at it. And I think the rest of the committee looks at it the same way. So to do that, we have to pass this ordinance for that. So moving forward, this is the best way. If they want to make a phone call to our attorneys, they're going to end up having to pay for it and have any talks they want. We're not putting it on the taxpayers. They did send, we did get a bill, and I noticed it, and I said, oh no, where's the escrow? Well, there wasn't any escrow established yet. So escrow means that this is for $10,000. They're going to put $10,000 aside, and every time there's conversation back and forth, that money is pulled out for payment, going back and forth. And this way, it's not on the taxpayer's dime. It's the easiest way of explaining it. And the next one, I'm sorry, Tim?
The last one will be Resolution 25-168, which will authorize Colliers Engineering and Design to prepare plans and specs for the municipal building roof replacement project, and authorizing the administrator to effectuate the agreement with Colliers, and also authorizing the clerk to advertise for bids once the plans and specs have been prepared. So that will all be.
So the roof is getting done. It took I know you're clapping, right? I'm clapping too. It took many, many years for this to come to fruition. And unfortunately, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, the police station has leaked for many years.
Yes.
The
Building department.
building department, even here, you could see some of the tiles up there that have water damage. I think the building department said they were putting buckets out now, from what I understand.
Yeah, we have an industrial-sized dehumidifier in there.
And it's helping.
Correct.
The roof is getting done, and it's the entire roof, not just the one portion that was
Yes.
originally looked at. It's
To
gonna
include
be-
the second floor.
I'm sorry?
To include the second
To
floor.
include the second floor. So
Which
if you look-
originally wasn't part of the plan, Mayor.
Right. That's why I'm saying the entire.
Yep.
So if you look outside in the parking lot and you look at the roof, it goes kind of flat and then it goes up and there's another part of that. The original plan was just to do the one flat area, not the second floor. And I believe the cost is coming in it will have to put out to bid right now, but I think it'll be a little bit better than what maybe we were looking at before. But the roof is getting done. These are good things that are happening, right? It took a long time. We got there. All right, what else do we have? That's all on the three?
That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kim. So the next thing we have is discussion. So we have Chestnut Street. I'm sorry. Let me approval of the agenda. You're right. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as so amended?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Committeewoman Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Corbella?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, discussion. It is Chestnut Street parking. Now, this was brought up by a resident in town. I believe last meeting or the meeting before. I got to remember which meeting. Which one was the last meeting?
Last meeting.
I don't know. There's a lot of meetings. But about the concern of children crossing by Carlock Field. And we have our Captain DePretta here to give us an analysis of what's happening there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm a little bit of a substitute here for Lieutenant Kukowski, who's our traffic officer, but I've had many discussions with him. We've had a lot of conversations about it. I've observed the parking issues and the street myself. And I reviewed the report that he prepared almost a year to the date. And some of the main issues that were brought up by Lieutenant Kukowski's report was that he didn't believe it was necessary. And there were 5 main points that he made. First of all, parking from 4 to 8 is arbitrary. There's events that go on at that park at all different times. There is parking on both sides of the street for events at Carlock Field, for Rochelle Park Day, which is coming up, for softball games Sunday mornings that will not be affected by this ordinance, thus making it ineffective. Secondly, a safer option, if we were to only restrict parking, would be to allow parking or force parking to be on the south side of the street. Because by having cars park on the opposite side of the street or from the park, you're forcing children to have to cross traffic and to enter the park. So if there were to be a need to restrict it to one-side parking, and we were really weighing what our main goal was our main goal to prevent children from getting struck by a vehicle, or are we trying to assist the residents and allow them to park in front of their houses? In my opinion, children's safety would be much more important. So forcing them to park across the street and forcing children to cross mid-block, which is prohibited by the state of New Jersey, cross-block crossing is not permitted. So we're actually forcing these children to cross illegally, thus making them susceptible to jaywalking. Thirdly, fourth after that is that there is no pedestrian crash data in this area. We've studied it for a year. We've also gone back since this original report was made in 2024. We've never had a pedestrian, we've never had a pedestrian accident. So the issue of it being dangerous for pedestrians is not necessarily a truth because there's no data to back that up. And lastly, one of the things that having cars parked on both sides of the street, especially during park activities, is that it creates a choke point. It creates a natural slowdown for vehicles. So it forces cars that are coming up that street to have to slow down because it is tighter. So they are more cautious. They are more conscious of what's around them. And it actually, having cars on both sides of the street actually helps us when it comes to pedestrian safety. So with taking all those things in mind and then doing a thorough review, since that point, we've had 3 accidents on Chestnut Street since this report was done about a year ago. None of them we could directly say are related to the parking. There were minor accidents that involved vehicles pulling out of their parking spaces or just typical traffic accidents that occur anywhere in town. But again, no pedestrians have been struck there. Our police vehicles, our fire vehicles, all emergency vehicles, none of them have come to us and said that they have an issue getting through at any specific times. So I think it's the opinion of the police department, and I've also spoken to a lot of our patrol officers, that it's really not a necessary ordinance.
Thank you. So, okay, I'm going to jump back for a few seconds, if you don't mind. Jaywalking, you're saying because the cars are allowed to park across the street instead of on the side of the field, that's considered jaywalking and actually putting the children in more harm by crossing the street instead of coming out onto the curbside,
Correct.
right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Exactly. So, if a parent was to park there or to simply drop their child off and they were going to park on the side where the park is, they could exit out the right side of the vehicle, never cross the street, exit right onto a parking lot. There are stairs there that they can enter the park from, and it would be a lot safer than being forced to cross the street where there is no crosswalk in place.
Understand. So this analysis was done for how long?
So Lieutenant Kukowski did a full report from last year. He prepared it for last May 31st. And then I asked him to go back and study the data since that point. And I could actually read you a quick summary that he wrote that sums up the issues that he saw could arise back then. And then in a year's time, what has changed, if anything has changed. And basically, he said, on May 31st, I submitted a white paper titled, "Should There Be Treatment for Pedestrian Crossing on Chestnut Street at Carlock Field?" Since the paper was authored, there have been no crashes involving pedestrians on Chestnut Street between Berdan and Brooks. Patrol has not reported any issues, and emergency vehicles have not had any issues getting through the street. There have been no dark dash scenarios observed by patrol or reported by residents, except for one at a township meeting. Since the paper was written, my findings continue to be relevant and supported by current evidence. As stated in my paper, I would still caution against any action that gives the impression that mid-block crossing is acceptable at the location without a crosswalk. And then he provided me with 3 action reports that have been taken on Chestnut Street since this report was made. It was almost a year ago.
And there were no children
And there were
involved?
no
With
pedestrians.
those accident reports, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I know there's a big concern about this, and I know that, people are concerned about speeding. And I do get your point where both cars are on both sides, because I drive a Ram truck, and I know I have to pull over, and we're trying to let other people come up or down. I think the point that I think the resident was trying to make is it's also a blind spot. And that blind spot, I think, is a concern. I am higher up, so I can pretty much see, but in the other cars I've had, a little lower, there is a blind spot. I grew up in this town. I'm in this town over 60 years, knock wood, and I don't recall ever hearing of a child struck on Chestnut in that area. I just did. I just knocked under here. I hope I don't push the alarm button in there, but I just knocked. Not saying that I'm an historian about it, but the concern that was brought, and it's a valid concern, and I appreciate you checking into it, but it's an extremely valid concern. One of the things that I was maybe thinking of, and maybe I don't know if it could work or not, Chief, you could tell me, where the stairs are on Chestnut, is there any way of putting a cross-lined crosswalk there with a blinking sign, whatever you want to call it?
So our township ordinance does allow for mid-block crosswalks. Last year when I spoke to our engineer about it, we're looking at a cost anywhere up to about $17,000 because you must make it ADA compliant. So you have to rip out curbs, figure out which area it can go in without, inconveniencing the residents across the street because they have to have that handicap ramp between driveway aprons, of course. And that was what it came down to.
So I can see, well, I'm just going to ask, I appreciate that. And when you say 17,000, and this is, in my opinion, what is a child's life worth?
Well, again, we haven't had any issues there, and forcing them to cross the street now, as we currently have, and I think is what the police department's point is you're actually probably putting children at more risk now than by just allowing the cars to park on both sides of the street, because the natural slowdown makes it safer for everybody. Plus, you're reducing 50% of those who have to cross across the street because they're able to park on the park side, if we were to eliminate the no parking there.
Fair enough. Is there any grants that we could possibly look at for something like that if necessary or needed?
I would have to
Maybe we can check in with Millennium on that one.
Sure.
I see Mr. Brown, our superintendent. Yes, Mr. Brown. Would you like to come on up? Yes, you could. Yeah, come on up. Please. Thank you.
Thinking about it, I think there's a little more to it. A couple just ideas that just came into my head. And I need to talk with Ed, and if he was approving of it, and the administrator committee, there's definitely a choke point, and there's sometimes nowhere for a car to dip out of the way, except for on the south side where the driveways are located. We can easily mark out in yellow, no parking, little sections where a car can dip in. Now you're creating a little bit more space, you're just taking away some parking on that side of the street. That is one thing. And in regards to your sidewalks, your handicap ramps that need to go in, I did submit something recently for the 2 handicap ramps that have to be replaced. There is 1 handicap ramp on that north side, right by the fire hydrant. All we really need to do is 1, and it's just a matter if you need engineering involved.
So that's a discussion that can go on further, right? And then we can see if we can address some concerns with that. That's two ideas, that's great. I mean, if anybody else has any other ideas?
And I will just add,
Yes.
once a crosswalk, if approved, there's no parking within 10 feet of that, so that'll allow for other dip-out areas.
Well, that's good to know.
So you're going 10 feet in either direction on either side. So it's going to be correct.
And is there a stop sign right there too?
Only at the bottom.
Only at
Not
the-
on Chestnut
no.
Street, they're at Verdun, it's on Verdun and at Brooks, on Brooks.
It's on the corner of Verdun and Brooks, yeah, okay, I know where it is, all right, so,
And then one at Brooks and Chestnut.
right, but you can't park, what, it's 50 feet from the
50
stop sign also?
correct.
Right, so, hey, listen, any ideas? Maybe we can look forward to working on it some more. But be it as, dollar figure, it means, sometimes it means not a lot to a lot of people. It certainly doesn't mean a lot to me when it comes to a child's life, that's my opinion. Or an adult's life, anybody crossing there, or a senior like me. I'm not as spraying fast as I used to be, so
Right. And
it
what
might be a little bit longer for me to get through.
the point of this report is the 4 to 8 prohibitions not protecting that child's life anymore than not having that prohibition, but looking into this crosswalk could do that.
Yeah. So the signs can, I guess, be, are there still up there, the signs, or no?
They are.
Do you know?
We originally we authorized 30 days, but, we had 3 weeks between last meeting and this, so we figured we'd have a report now
I
to give you an
appreciate it.
opportunity, if you want to, we can remove them, and
Well, obviously from the report, it seems like it's not working that way, right?
and then
So,
I can-
I don't see any problem.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Maybe we can have further discussion. Thank you, Captain.
Thanks, Cap.
Appreciate you. All right. Okay, so moving forward, we have the administrator's report, please.
Thank you again, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Mayor, a quick update on Howard Avenue, and this is the project between Harvey and Patton. Actually, I'm a little out of order. Let me swing that though, because I have the other Howard Avenue. So, by the way, the Howard Avenue project that has been ongoing, the bid was awarded, and it came in very favorably to the township for the mill and pave, which budgetarily will allow for the addition of up to 100 trees. And again, that's between Patton Court and James Street. I know our Public Works, our engineer, and our Shade Tree Commissioner are working together for a fall planting, deciding what type of trees we're going to be putting there. And just to remind everybody, that was a DOT grant award project. The Howard Avenue section between Patton Court and Harvey Avenue is getting ready to go out to bid. That's with an eventual bid award date of June 25th, and work obviously will start soon thereafter. Again, that's a separate project that was assisted through a CDBG grant of $123,000. Rochelle Avenue. So again, I mentioned earlier, I attended the fundraiser event. I got to sit at the cool kids table, and fortunately for me, that meant I was with retired chief and now deputy administrator for the county, Kenny Ehrenberg, Tom Dutch, the county administrator. I was also with some county commissioners, and the conversation, of course, comes up about Rochelle Avenue and what we're doing. I voiced some of my displeasure with the delays that have been ongoing, and one of the delays is DLS Paving that was hired by the county and awarded the bid to mill and pave between Lots Lane and Passaic Street. Has not been able to provide a time schedule from when they're going to do that work, so I passed that along today. Also spoke about the Rochelle Avenue expansion project and what the delay there is. We're going to be getting the Board of Education their own copies of the projected plans, because there was a lot of work that was going to be done to Board of Ed property that in our brief meetings on other shared service issues, the school superintendent and school board president stated they may not even be interested in having those improvements made, and maybe some other improvements. So we're going to move forward on that. Spoke with or emailed their counsel today, Mr. Jacoby, and also again through Kenny Ehrenberg, received a phone call back saying those plans should be dropped off here in the next couple of days, if not sent also electronically. Again, I spoke with Mike Porcelli today about that milling and paving, and there's no further timetable from their contractor. At this point, they'll probably wait till after the school year to get that done. Colrock Field, ongoing open space grant work that's being completed there. The pavilion is complete. Some touch-up painting will occur. The spray misters, as of yesterday, I'm being told, will be delivered next week. I spoke to the contractor today. He asked me, hey, what's my time frame? And I said I want it done today. But he's promised me by mid to late June those spray misters will be in at least before the start of summer camp. The Senior Center makeover, for anybody who hasn't been able to get in there, please take a look. I'm very proud of that effort. Thank you again to DPW for taking the lead on the project management. With the last phase of work, which was the replacement of the entire floor, has been completed. It has been painted, and the room does look brand new. And I know the seniors, through the mayor, I got some positive feedback, so I'm glad everybody's happy. Kind of turn it over to the police department. Just again, remind us, mayor and committee, we are actively looking for a replacement full-time dispatcher. We congratulate our dispatcher who had left, Dante Guzman, on his acceptance to the State County Police Academy. Wish him the very best. Also, I know I've had discussions with this committee, and we brought it up again, Mayor, during the shared service talks with the school. We're probably going to be looking to go with a SLAO 3. What we found is the last time we had difficulty finding a special law enforcement officer, Class 3, which is a retired officer that could fill in as an SRO rather than using a full-time officer. They work for anywhere between $40 to $45 an hour. And don't need benefits because they're retired, and can do much of the same work. We had difficulty in recruitment because we weren't using the current form of recruitment that we use, which is Police App. So we think through Police App, and again, at this fundraiser last night, I met with several retired officers, several of which are working as SLAO 3s, and they said, yeah, you'll probably have much more success. So I look forward to doing that, and that wouldn't, we'd probably start hiring for January of next year. And that's pending a retirement of one of our higher ranking officers. But just wanted to put it out there that you may hear about that. Roach, keep it on the police department real quick. Coffee with a Cop, May 31st, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 711 on Rochelle Avenue. Please join us. Please come out with your questions, concerns, comments, complaints. Get to meet some of the officers, and just share a cup of coffee graciously being provided by the new ownership of the 711 on Rochelle Avenue. As far as the elevation grant, and I call it Elevation Grant 1, that's the one that was awarded by FEMA, had a virtual meeting with 6 homeowners, and I know Mr. Miller and the Mayor Judge were on that call. We are moving forward with that. They've had private meetings with the contractor scheduled for this week, and the township, at least on my end, I'm preparing our first reimbursement request, and we'll be working with OEM and our grant manager to get some of that money back that we've spent on our grant management. Another DPW, since it's your month, utilizing a new grinding machine. Dave Brown came to me last year and said, hey, I'd love to purchase this. I think it's going to help us on our unsafe sidewalks with our tripping hazards. I know they've been able to grind down and remove several tripping hazards that came in from residents, and I know Sacred Heart Church happened to be one of the first ones we tried, and I got an immediate email from the church staff saying how happy they were and how great it looked. So glad to see that the machine's working. Attended a CDBG meeting last night. Speaking of CDBG grants, preliminarily, Rochelle Parks to receive $140,000 for this year's grant, and that's assigned to Hoffman Avenue improvements. Again, with the Community Development Block Grant, you have to pick an area, roadway, or a project that falls within their mapped area, and Hoffman Avenue happens to fall within that. So we'll be able to use those funds towards that project. Another update on the pump station, as we've continuously talked about, had a meeting yesterday with Boswell, Colliers, Mayor, Committeeman Truinsky, and our DPW representatives. The drawings and plans are complete, so we're good there. And again, we're just working through some land use application, DEP permitting processes, and that's all part of the work, but we are basically underway with that project. And I think that's all I have, Mayor.
That project is the pump station you're speaking about.
Oh, correct. I'm sorry. I do have two more things, and that is the pump station project. Shade Tree, been working with Mr. Warren and Dave Brown met with a local business owner recently, the owners of ShopRite. They were gracious to offer up a donation of $5,000 towards the planting of trees on their properties along West Passaic Street, as long as we can find other matching funds from other businesses in town, and I know we'll continue to do that. Mr. Warren also worked with Mr. Warren on preparing a letter and getting it out to another business owner on West Passaic Street and trying to add to that canopy along, a lack of canopy along West Passaic Street. Did receive an email today. Good news. I'm going to talk to you, Mr. Warren, later because it's Sustainable Jersey. We did receive an email today that our registration for membership into Sustainable Journey has been approved and that we are officially members. And what that means, in order to start our certification, I'll probably need your help in going through some of that paperwork. So I look forward to that work. And lastly, as far as summer camp goes, I just want this committee to know, as of today, we have 15 children that have signed up. The remaining balance for summer camp is about $24,000, and we have to hope for, and traditionally, camp attendees have signed up in late May and early June, but those numbers are kind of low, so if you know anybody out there that's looking to sign their children up for a great summer camp, please direct them to our website, and they can sign up through our portal.
Well, that's a lot of work. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Administrator.
Thank you.
Attorney Flynn?
No report.
Okay. Clerk?
Just one thing, Mayor. On Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, the clerk's office will be open until 9 p.m. to accommodate late-night voter registration. This is the last day to register to vote for the June primary election. So if you know of any...
Again, what?
May 20th.
May 20th. So that's coming up if you need to register to vote.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Again, I just want to say a few things. There's ordinances on here for adoption. We do have an ordinance coming up at the next meeting for adoption that will be for the pump station. That is basically we're taking that money out to proceed forward in discussions yesterday. The pump station, from what I'm getting from the DPW, is not. It needs to be replaced. Is that the best way of putting it, right? That's the easiest way of putting it. So the engineers were there. There were engineers in the room, and we discussed a few things. But we have to give a certain amount of time between the first read and the second read when it comes to this kind of bonding, right? So this bonding is for 4.5. Hopefully it'll come in a little bit less. Maybe we get some grants toward it, but still at this point, we have not gotten any word of the brick grant coming back. So that's unfortunately off the table. But we're moving forward. That's what we're going to do. There's a couple of ordinances here that you may want to. The alcoholic beverage ordinance was pointed out that by our clerk, Mrs. Kim, about the amount that was being charged. It was on the low side compared to other municipalities. It was really on the low side. So that part of this ordinance is going to be updated to bring it to average right now and then the top within the year or so. We also have military. I'm sorry? I thought somebody said something. The swimming pools. Somebody had asked me about swimming pools. And would you explain that, Administrator, for the swimming pool?
Sure. I've received directly numerous complaints, probably since the time I became police chief, from several residents around town of their neighbors renting out their pools. I think this within about 2 weeks ago, or a little bit less than a week ago. Committeewoman Artola sent me a screenshot from Swimply, which is an app that people use, and the home is located in Rochelle Park. Again, renting out their private pool. Obviously, that incurs some dangers, having lost a child on Forest Place to a swimming accident. We don't want to subject, people from out of town coming in, renting pools with no guidance, no lifeguards. There's no health maintenance of these pools because they're not monitored by the health department as are public pools. And asking around, several other municipalities have enacted this ordinance to prevent such rentals and usage. And I think, again, it's come up, this would have been the third summer that I've received complaints. So I'm happy to see that this committee is moving forward on this.
Thank you. So on the next agenda, we're going to look at this, our tax collector, this is Kathy Cerisi. I always say that wrong. Kathy. actually checked into a few things that haven't been done in the past, and I asked her to look into it more in depth. And that was over usage of sewer.
Sanitary sewer charges from the DCUA.
Thank you. Sanitary sewer charges from the DCUA. And we found one place in particular. I'm sorry, Kathy, can you come on up? Come on up to the mic, please. Thank you. So it's one large industrial.
So the DCUA identified one property as a large industrial user.
Okay. So years ago, it was brought forward.
Yeah, we have passed a resolution that I can bill them. It was an issue, and we never followed through on it.
So now
I'm
we're,
gonna go back and bill them.
so now we're following through on it. This
Yeah.
committee is following through.
Yeah.
You know,
But
we're,
I wasn't authorized to.
well, I believe you're going to be authorized to do it, but yeah. Looking back on the numbers that I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, certain this is too cheap, but it's over $200,000
For the 5 years.
for the 5 years in revenue that this township could have had.
$40,000 a year.
Right. So we lost out on that, unfortunately, because it wasn't pursued, and we're pursuing these things. We cannot lose any more, anything that helps the township and the taxpayers. This is revenue, and our revenue needs to be kept up and looked at, and the rules have to be abided by and followed. And we have ordinance for it. I believe we're going to update another one.
It's the pilot, because they're exempt, so the pilots are going to be included in this billing, although they won't be as large, but it's still going to be revenue.
Right. So I know we were going to talk about, we were going to look at it to be on tonight's agenda, but we're going to look into more depth of it, the usage, the 100,000 gallons over. We're going to look at the language a little bit more. But thank you for the dedicated work, because that was a lot of work going back, researching, interest, you know, everything that's combined, and so appreciative of your time to take and do this for the residents of Brush Hill Park. Again, that's over, I think it was over $206,000. Am I right with that, Kathy? Right? Yeah. Okay, so.
Mayor, if I
Yes,
can just
please.
add that Kathy has been extremely helpful in getting our office the information we need to pursue this, so I want to thank you, because you're very prompt in getting right back to us.
Yes.
She's very, yeah, it's only tax time. Kathy is very humble and a quality employee for sure.
Mr. Miller?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I just want to touch on what Mr. Scatino just said, because to me, it seems like our previous professionals missed out on this. And this is great revenue. And when we miss out on this revenue, ultimately the taxpayers are missing out. So I'm very happy that Mr. Scatino's offices are looking into this, and we're going to get this. And thank you so much, Kathy.
Anyone else?
Yeah, well, I had explained in closed session what one of the stumbling blocks were. I will not repeat that in open session, but just keep that in mind, that there was some stumbling blocks in the past pertaining to that.
Right.
So that prevented it from happening.
I believe that was for 1 year or 2 years. Was that 1 year?
I would have to look through my notes. I don't recall. We did not, say,
So we're going to
but
pass those stumbling blocks. and-
sure, there was a year or two, but we did have
Right.
an issue with it. It wasn't,
Right, but
it
that
was
was-
addressed. It was, to give the impression that it was ignored is not the case. And that's what I'm clearing up.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead, because I was going to do with that.
I'm not necessarily implying that it was ignored, but I think that I feel more confident with the professionals that we have now that we can address these issues head-on with the amazing amount of experience that Mr. Scatino has compared to the previous attorney.
Thank you.
Can I also mention one more thing?
Sure.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just look at ordinance number 1232-25. This ordinance, which is titled Adoption of Policy for Totally Disabled Veterans and Surviving Spouses, Tax Exemption on Municipal Property. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this ordinance should have been passed a long time ago. We've been passing resolutions that have been giving these tax exemptions to these families, which is amazing, but the ordinance should have happened beforehand.
Yes.
So this sort of good government has not necessarily been happening, and I've felt that on the previous professionals.
Thank you. So, again, moving forward, and I know there's always going to be stumbling blocks going along, but that, I believe, was 3 or 4 years ago. It should have been addressed again. That's my opinion. It was brought up to me by our tax collector, and I jumped on it. And I said, what? What's happening? And then I got in touch with Mr. Scatino, our attorney, about it, and we worked together with Kathy to move it forward. And this will go forward. And it may not be just one, it might be 2 or 3. There's another problem. We have a town, adjacent town, that is actually hooked in 4 of their businesses are hooked into our sewer system from an adjacent town, and they're not paying us for that. So this is not new. This has been for a while now, I understand, right? Couple of years? Okay. These are little things that bring revenue. Well, we're going to figure that how it goes forward, but, again, generating revenue. We got to look back on some of this stuff, and thank you again, Mr. Reese, for bringing this forward, because just the little comments that you made and say, hey, Mayor, wait a minute, why is this? And I said, okay, let's go. So I believe this Township Committee is definitely moving things forward in the right direction. That's the best way of putting it. Anyone else? No? Okay, great. So let's go on to the next thing. Sorry? The flags, I know, I have here. Thank you. So we have the resolution of 25-165 authorizing to fly the Honor and Remembrance Veterans flag. May I have a motion for that, please?
Make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Can we have discussion?
I'm sorry, yes, please, discussion.
So this is for this month?
Yes,
And didn't we already say the thin blue line for this month?
we do.
And it was taken down before we voted and put up?
Which was taken down?
I'm questioning, was the thin blue line taken down and the veterans flag put
I
up?
think the thin blue line's still up, right? I think they're both up right now, yeah.
Okay. This is one of the things that I vote no on flags, because we had said we were going to put one, now we're adding another one. It's been put up before we voted on it. As much as I'm in support of both of these things, I vote no on flags. So I just wanted clarification, because it was put up before we voted on it.
You are correct, and that was an oversight. Ms. Piche was the one who donated the flag, and it was an oversight at the time. It should have been voted on prior, you are correct. And moving forward, we'll hopefully catch that. I think that's why I have also on here the pride flag, for that reason, so we're way ahead of time. If there's something that comes up between now and the next meeting with flags, please let us know, but it was definitely an oversight, and I don't see any problem flying that, even if it's an oversight. That's my opinion. So, anyway, anyone in discussion?
No, I agree. I think, I don't, 2 flags being flown at the same time for the good, right reasons, I have no opposition to that.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, that doesn't violate the flag ordinance that we passed.
No, it does not.
months ago.
Right. Okay. So, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Okay. And roll call.
Committeewoman Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Martola?
No.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor George Corbello?
Yes, motion's passed. So the next one is Resolution 25-166, and that's authorization to fly the pride flag. Any discussion on this one? Any discussion? No? No? Okay. All right, so that would go up in June, beginning of June. If this so passes, may I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Martola?
No to all flags.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor George Corbello?
Yes, motion has passed. So then we have new business. A young lady, Caroline Kadara, wants to volunteer to Access for All committee, and I would like to appoint you to that committee. We're still, looking at the May 28th, that's the Memorial Day week. Want to make sure I have a quorum here, so right now we still have that date of May 28th, 2025 for our next meeting. All right, so let's open to the public. May I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion?
May I have a second? Roll call?
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Covello?
Yes. Okay, open to the public.
Okay, so again, each resident is allowed 3 minutes. Please state your name and the town in which you reside. At approximately 30 seconds, I'll let you know that your 3 minutes is expiring, and at the mayor's discretion, the time may be extended.
Diane Castle. I appreciate the support of the mayor about the parking in Chestnut Street. I understand the survey that he did or whatever, but I will tell you that I've had, at least 6 or 7 people tell me.
Mr. House,
I'm sorry.
can you speak a little more into the microphone?
I've had at least 6 or 7 people come up to me after the meeting and saying, since the meeting, I should say, that it is much easier to drive on the street. The fact that no one has hit anybody yet, to me, we should try and prevent things before they happen.
Of course.
As you mentioned, coming up the hill versus down, if you do see someone, if there's cars parked on both sides, as you said, there's very little places to go over. And I'm curious, and I don't know if you know, because Ed's not here, if that survey was done when summer camp was on. And the reason I'm mentioning that, I know it's not the 4 to 8 time, but pickup time, cars on both sides, and whether they're supposed to cross or not, parents, that would be the south side, call their kids. They don't get out of their cars. They call their kids to cross the street. They run across between cars. It's a very dangerous situation. The fact that no child has been hit has been a miracle. I mean, I walk there, so that's when I see it. And, you know, parents on this side, like I said, they don't get out to get their kids. They call them to run between the cars, and they're not worried about the corner. It's where they're parked. And I'd love for him to sit there and watch it, maybe at camp dismissal, see what happens. You know, I don't know what time he did his survey, but, you know, I know when I've left meetings here, other things at night, it's a world of difference by not having both sides of the street like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel safer because you can pull over if you see somebody coming up as opposed to nowhere to go. And I originally came to thank you guys for doing it, but
No, I appreciate that. I think it's going to be a continuing discussion. I think Mr. Brown, our superintendent of DPW, our chief, our captain will see if there's something that can be done. And then, of course, a child flag or an adult or anyone else is of utmost importance to us.
And I just want to mention one thing that I remember had been mentioned at the last meeting where there was a concern about if the cars had to park further away from the parking space, you know, because they were on the one side. Anybody who's kids that have taken them to play games at any other town, when they're ready to go to the field, usually the parking lot is not right there. And you're parking, you know, way over there, you have to walk to the field, and every parent does it without a problem. So if they have to park at the bottom of the hill or across the street, I don't think that's a problem, because, like I said, most other places, your parking lot is nowhere near, you know, it's not right there kind of thing. So, just a consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Warren? Oh. Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madeline Madden, 106 Terrace Avenue. Have you ever seen that traffic trying to get out Terrace Avenue onto Rochelle Avenue? It's a nightmare, and I feel it's very dangerous. As we have those little crisscross lines over by Central Avenue, maybe they could do that outside, because the cars will come Rochelle Avenue, bumper to bumper, you cannot get out from Terrace Avenue. Thank you.
Are you talking by where the fire trucks come out? I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the crisscross lines that are by the firehouse?
Right, they could be in front of the Terrace Avenue, like that, so
I
the cars could separate, because you can't even get out sometimes.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, they don't listen to them about the firehouse.
They don't listen to him there either? I mean, unfortunately, I know exactly where you're talking about, and I understand during the school time also, it's a little bit of a challenge. And I think a lot of things in this town is a challenge with driving at certain times of the day. I don't know if our police department has...
Ma'am, is there a specific time?
Ms. Madden, is there...
Oh, it could be any time when the cars just think they can keep going, then they're bumper to bumper by Central Avenue. Oh, it's really bad in the afternoon, and then on to like 4:35 to get out from Terrace Avenue to get out onto Rochelle Avenue, and then you're bumped over the light over on Central, and then Railroad.
We've a newly assigned traffic officer, so we'll definitely assign them to the work.
There you go.
And
There you go.
if I may, Mayor, we have in the past assigned our regular patrol officers, and I happen to know, in the month of April, the officers issued 539 summonses. Those 539 recipients call us, complain that we write too many tickets, but we'll continue to be diligent and vigilant on it, and I can tell you that.
Thank you. I know it was also, thank you, Ms. May. See you down, but I know it was also brought up about speeding. That was another thing, not so much on Terrace Avenue, but some other streets. I know the chief was checking, and I said, if you're a resident, if you're not a resident, you're speeding, you get a ticket.
If I may, Mayor?
Yes, please.
It's one specific to Howard Avenue. Our traffic officer followed up based on my email, went to the home and was belittled and berated by the car owner as well as his mother, but made it very clear that should he be observed committing traffic violations, he'll be issued summonses. So I commend Officer Starling for handling it in a very professional manner.
Yes, thank you. I mean, unfortunately, when you approach people that, in this case, was obvious or evident that they were speeding and be belittled, I'm not in favor of I don't like to hear that. I don't think that's right, but, there is no next time, right? There's a ticket for that. Because, again, we speak about children or anybody else being hit, God forbid, by a speeding car. And I know exactly what cars speed at, and I see these cars all the time. So, moving forward, anybody else from the public? Mr. Warren?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Michael Warren, 181 West Oldest Street. I have a few items and one ask of the Township Committee tonight. I want to mention Eulina from Top Cashback. All month long in April, she was trying to schedule a planting with her employees. They're a small business in town, and Top Cashback allows you to shop online, and the savings you get from online, you can donate to a charity. Anyway, they were trying to schedule a planting. We were trying to match up dates with Dave and then myself and their crew. It couldn't happen, but they were happy to donate the $500 to our Shade Tree Trust Fund. So I was very excited about that. That's great. And hopefully, as word gets out there that we have this available, I think a lot of businesses would like to join any kind of, green or tree-oriented initiative. Dean, you mentioned our ShopRite meeting. I know you mentioned up here it was wonderful. I have to admit, I'm very disappointed.
I'm sorry, which meeting was that?
With ShopRite.
With ShopRite? Okay.
I'm very disappointed in ShopRite for a couple of reasons. One is, on one hand, we have Top Cashback, small business, donating $500 with no strings attached. ShopRite wants to attach strings to their donation. We give a lot of stuff to ShopRite. They got a free street. They seem to talk to you a lot, Dean, about things they need from the law enforcement side, right? They did give us a layout of their property, but they gave it to Dave and his guys to work on, which is more work for Dave and his guys. And tonight we see the Township Committee calling Dave up. Dave, can you do this for us real quick? We got to get some stripes painted or whatever it is. Which, again, tonight we heard during the proclamation that Dave has 7 guys only. Mm-hmm. So I will be spending a lot of my time advocating to whoever is up here for an increased DPW workforce, whether it's 8 guys or 9 guys, moving forward in the future. If you really want this town to be beautified properly, these are the guys who do it. And in working with Dave on the Shade Tree Commission, it's been fantastic, but also eye-opening at the same time. We did recently vote to bring in a vendor to do an entire street. Dave is, again, working on, helping get the vendor approved and all through the proper channels, and make sure that we're, being cost-effective. When we plant a tree, I want people to understand it's money. So the other thing I want to bring up to the Township Committee is that I need to know, and the members of the Shade Tree Commission need to know, that you will support the full use,
Let's go ahead.
the full use of the 10-foot easement that the town has from curb to the inward of the property, of everyone's property. Because there's a debate happening in the Shade Tree Commission meetings where we don't want to plant under power lines. You know, we want to try to avoid that. A lot of the power lines are in the thin strip in between the curb and the sidewalk, right? But if we use the full easement of 10 feet, we could move the tree inward to avoid those. But I know that's going to be something new for the resident to experience, right? And I know they're going to come to you guys to scream about it. So that's something you guys, I need to know, support the fact that the town has the right of way to plant or use any of that property from the curb 10 feet inward. That's in your ordinance. You guys passed that. So that's something I'm going to ask you guys to contemplate. Because if we're to do the job correctly, to not plant under power lines, that's something we're going to have to consider. So I'm hoping ShopRite might reconsider their donation. They're a multi-million-dollar company. And while they told us in the meeting they support what we're doing, I know that they're going to be coming back before the town for some other things as well. And that's really not a good sign for me. They're supposed to be a good neighbor. I know they're a big business. We all shop there. But to help us get a good kickstart into the tree planting process, I was expecting more. That's just my personal opinion. Finally, Carlack Field. I spoke with Dean about this maybe a couple weeks ago. I had been searching for a space for a community garden. We thought we might have had one at the Knights of Columbus. I'm a little skittish about using private property. There's a lot of red tape, legal stuff. And talking with Dean, and I happened to be at Carlack Field and bumped into Dave. Again, he's everywhere. And Committeeman Chwinski was there working on a neighbor's house. So all the stars aligned that day. And Dean had spoken to me about a piece of property that the town has taken back at Carlack that's now fenced off. It's beautiful. It's nice and fenced. So I'm asking the Township Committee to consider a community garden to be able to go in that fenced off area where it would fall under the Environmental Commission, which will help our Sustainable New Jersey points. I'm trying to connect the dots here with everyone. We could open up to volunteers who are residents of the town. It can go through the volunteer process that's been established. It's a small piece of land. I can't say more than 15 feet long, maybe 7 feet wide. I'm probably off on my estimates. But we could probably plant 4 to 6 raised beds there once that area is cleaned out. There's rocks, brush, but from the post about our search for a piece of property from Team Rochelle Park, there's an interest. People would like to do it. So I'm asking you guys to consider that piece of land. You don't have to answer it tonight, but you can email me. Which, by the way, Dean, nobody told me that as Shade Tree Commission Chair, I would literally have multiple daily emails to check from residents, from you, from Dave, from engineers.
I actually just commented this morning. I said, "Oh, there's my daily tree update from Mike Warren."
Yes. So it's literally daily emails, and I find myself checking it now more often than I did before. I'm like, oh, who's going to email me? And they're emailing. And the residents have been great. We have the new form that's online. If people are filling it out, I want to thank Dave for helping make the form. He gave me a couple of options to give people. That's really my ask for to please consider enforcing the 10-foot easement if it comes to that decision being made by the Shade Tree Commission to plant so we don't get trees under a power line. We want to avoid that. And also the Carlack Field, I guess, land that was taken back for the community garden. That's it for me.
Okay, Mr. Warren,
Yes.
I'm just going to address a couple of things.
Sure.
DPW, I not too long ago asked Mr. Brown Do you need somebody? And you said not yet. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
You will let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's okay. I told them I'd be up here every time I could get a chance.
No, I appreciate it. Now, with the easement, you're talking about 10-foot easement from the curb to in.
Within, yes.
But you have a sidewalk also.
Correct, but the
So-
10 feet does extend past the sidewalk
Yes.
onto the lawns of residents. Now, I know that's a topic that could get people excited, but in order to avoid planting trees where the power lines are, it may happen that way, only because some streets, the power lines do fall in the strip of
Yeah.
grass between the curb and sidewalk. There are some streets where it doesn't. So it's definitely going to be a block by block determination. But what I think, and I'd like to talk to Diane Verhassel for the welcoming committee, we're going to make those baskets. We need to inform our town, our residents, that easement, is the town can plant within that strip. And that's an ordinance passed a couple of years ago. I think, Ms. Artola, that was part of the tree initiative you mentioned a couple of weeks back.
So yes,
Yeah.
in 2020,
Yeah.
we had, well, I'll wait till you're done.
No, it's okay. That was the point, yeah.
So back in 2020, we had come up with the idea of, and we started it with the streets that we were paving, rather than putting them in the easement, because it kicks up the sidewalks, and
Yeah.
sometimes it kicks up the curb
There
and
are
the
thin
street.
strips too on some streets.
Yes, and because it hits the power lines that we would plant on the properties. However, we needed the residents' permission for that.
Well, technically
So,
you don't.
well, let me
Yeah.
just finish, please.
Yeah.
So we had wanted the residents' permission because there could be water pipes underneath, there could be a tree there already. There were a couple of variables that we can't just plant there. Some of the residents were happy about that. We came up with a list of trees, and they got to choose the tree because it is their property.
Correct.
We would maintain it for about a first year, and just like we do now, we determined, depending on the type of tree, whether a fall planting was better or a spring planting was better. And it was well received. A lot of people refused it because it was their property, but we notified them that the town would pay for the tree and maintain it for the first year. So that's how we decided. We did not want to just plant without their permission.
Right.
Because they would have to rake up after it, they would have to maintain it, and, some of them threatened to pull it out if you just put it there without their permission. So, and because it's a partnership, really, they would have to maintain it, that we had done this sign-up. And we researched the different kinds of trees. We had an expert. It was a little hard. 2020, the world shut down, so it was a little hard to get it off the ground, but it was
Yeah.
very positive.
Ms. Artola is pretty much on point here with a couple of things. I might disagree with one thing about the permission to plant, but yes, we do have a list of trees. We've talked about this extensively. We would never want to force someone to have a tree on their property. Now, however, the easement is public. It's the town's, choice to use. Whether you move the sidewalk, I've emailed you about perhaps in future road projects, moving the sidewalk 1 to 2 inches inward to make the easement larger so we can plant trees there. That's something that we had emailed about. But Ms. Artola is correct. The town would plant it. It would be on our dime, et cetera. There are people who are filling out the form, Dave, right, that are selecting to plant it there instead of the easement. So there is buy-in. There is buy-in, yes. So it's we just want to make sure that if the Shade Tree Commission, along with the DPW, find that on any given street, we do run into an issue of power lines or other impediments to planting, that this committee will support that ordinance where the 10-foot easement is established. We do know that if someone does take down a tree, there is now an ordinance that says that we must enforce that and that they have to pay for it. So I'm hoping that is something we can also do as well.
So while you're here, Mr. Warren,
Yeah.
council, 10-foot easement, they're permitted to do so.
Yes, I understand, with the council, with the committee person, the point she was making. Obviously, you want to make sure that in planting the tree, there are no pipes.
Correct.
Ground, and,
Yes.
but legally, permission is not required. But to also, I think your point, if you're going to depend upon the property owner to maintain the tree,
You need some buy-in from them.
and they need to agree with it.
Yes.
Because if you plant it, you own it.
Correct.
Unless they say, no, I agree to take care of it.
Yeah.
So it's not outright permitted, like at the end of the day, if you said, well, we're planting this tree, you have the right to plant the tree.
Yes.
You could, I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to just make a suggestion.
Sure.
Paramus, because I'm from Paramus, they have the same thing.
Yes.
My house in Paramus, and my parents' house. The tree is planted on their property.
Correct, yeah.
They did, I mean, something 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You didn't have a choice, but you now do have a choice. They do maintain it. I think it's better because it's not under the law.
So, just to clarify, we want to follow the ordinances, right? We want to follow those things. Those are important. We would never want to make a resident irate about a tree. So, that's not on our radar. That's not something we're like, yeah, right, correct. So they have an option of a tree, they have an option of where to put it, but on the streets that we're going to do, where we do a mass planting, right, where we bring in a contractor within our budget and the beautification funds to plant an entire street. As I said to Dave and Mike James, they're wonderful to handle all the individual requests, but to do a whole street is a hefty project, right? We just want to make sure that when Dave is out there with the volunteers and the contractor, and we're looking and we're saying, there's power lines here, where's another place to put this? And before we put the tree in the ground, we want you guys to be aware of this ordinance that you have already with the easement involved, so that when a complaint comes in, because someone will complain, which is fine, that's an established ordinance that, like you said, Mr. Scatino, we don't need legal permission. However, we want to cooperate and we want to have that partnership with the residents, and to, express to them the value of that tree, right, and why it's a good thing.
I'm sorry to
Yes, that's
interrupt, but
fine.
I just want to jump to the Carlock Field Community Garden.
Yes.
I believe that community garden you're talking about is behind the new gazebo area.
Yeah, behind that new pavilion thing, and there's a vinyl fence with I want to say a locking mechanism, but we could get a locking mechanism.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I made a cleaned up area, and I think it would be beautiful. But if anybody hasn't seen the gazebo yet, go take a look at it.
Oh, very nice down there.
It came out beautiful. And I'd like to possibly add a resolution to this agenda if it's okay with everyone, to have that community garden. If there's any questions or discussion about it?
I
Yes.
just want to make sure
Yes.
we put extra security cameras on that, because that field gets vandalized.
Well, I would discuss definitely a lock with a code that, specific people would have, yeah.
Climbing on the shed and jumping off.
Oh, they were climbing on the roofs too, yeah.
So where he's gonna put it, I don't want them jumping off the gazebo into it.
I don't want anybody jumping off anything over there, that's for sure.
Kids today.
They'll climb on anything and they'll jump.
I think I did that
We
too.
just need more cameras to protect that area.
Do we have a camera in that close area
It's on
there?
the field, the face of the field.
Now, this one that faces the pavilion, I can probably put up on my phone right now and pass it along to show everybody.
Okay.
That would be in that area?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
I just want to make sure that it faces.
Right.
Well, like I said, if you guys want to decide that at your next meeting to pass a resolution,
well, you would have to start planting soon, Mr.
well,
Chairman.
we could, listen, I don't want to rush things and make it come off kind of half-assed, pardon my French, but even if we got the place cleaned up and got everything prepared for maybe a fall planting or a late summer planting, I just want to make sure that, one, when you pass the resolution, it's the way you guys want it to be done. And if you do that tonight, that's wonderful. I can make a quick video this weekend if it just stops raining for a minute. And then we could have people contact the office here to become volunteers. We would definitely need some people who are handy with tools and, helping clean up that space there. It's not awful, but it just needs a little TLC. And of course, give time for the administrator to get the area secure, the way you guys want it. So.
Well, the administrator just showed the camera, and literally,
It's right on there?
It's right on it.
Okay.
It's right,
I'll know better now.
Right, so,
I'll know when you're there, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
anybody have any other questions about it?
No, I think this is a great idea. I think this is going to build community. It's going to beautify the area, and also, as Mr. Warren mentioned, it's going to give us points towards sustainable New Jersey.
Yes.
And the more points that we get, the more eligible we're going to have towards beautification grants to further beautify our township. So it's a win-win.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Ms. Ortolo, any questions or concerns?
No, my biggest concern was having the buy-in from the resident, and you said that
Yes.
you would agree with that.
Yeah.
So
We've
I think-
discussed that a lot.
Yeah, having them in the conversation,
Yeah.
and maybe if there's, they could help pick the tree since it is going to be on their property.
Yep,
And a lesson on how to maintain it.
yep.
I think those conversations are important.
We have the video, we have the flyer, and
Yeah.
and on the shade tree request form, you can click. I have links on there for the types of trees,
Which,
and
by
you
the
can.
way, that form is over on the table.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's
If
on the
anybody
table
wants
there
to
too.
use
You
the
can scan the QR code. But there's links so you could see what the tree will look like as an adult.
Yeah.
So you can kind of pick, and people seem to have fun picking their first choice and second choice. Of course, with the stipulation, if it's acceptable in the space that we can plant it, we always put that disclaimer there because there's a variety of issues that could come up where you want this particular tree and it's just not going to be suitable in the space you want it unless we talk to them about moving it, et cetera. So.
So, Mr. Warren, the garden,
Yes.
is that under the Team Rochelle Park?
No. We'd like that under the I have too much going on with
Environmental
that.
Commission?
I have the Environmental Commission, yes, the other thing I'm doing. So you can, I figured, one, that will help the Sustainability New Jersey grant, or any grants available, get points for it. And I think having it under the auspices of the township would add some quality control to volunteers that are coming through. That you can sign the hold harmless. It could be a little bit more official. Team Rochelle Park just doesn't have that kind of backing at that point, to be able to issue insurance certificates to everybody.
Right.
It all kind of came together in that sense. So, if you pass them tonight or the next meeting, then we could start to request volunteers. I could put the call out on, I can make a video to ask people if they could come and, help clean out that area, so.
You know what, I got the nod from Majority.
Yeah, it's time, but,
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, and by the way, before you do that, the Girl Scouts are going to be taking over the planters since they lost their, that space on the side of the building, their pollinator garden, right? So they're going to take over. The Shade Tree Commission voted to let them take over the planter on the corner here and the one down, Bennett in Somerville. So they're going to start planting there at some point. I know Dave's getting the materials. And they came to one of our meetings and they asked, and we're happy to do that for them.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I think I got the nod from everybody to do this ordinance, this resolution tonight to pass it through. If we can just add another one to the agenda.
I would sit down now.
Oh, please sit down. And by the way, Mr. Warren, thank you for all you do. I know it's a lot. Thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Mr. Mattson.
I said I was gonna do this, I was kind of jealous.
Just hit the
I don't think anybody with jeans ever sits here anyway.
Andrew, just turn the red button. Thank you, sir.
Hello?
There you go.
All right, so trees, I love it. I don't want you guys to ask me about putting a tree in my house. Personally, I'm gonna get the mail, I'll respond to it, but a lot of people, they don't respond to the mail. I just want you guys to plant the trees. I love that Mike is even thinking about the overhead lines. I think it's smart. I drive through other towns and I've seen them. Once you guys have been talking about the trees, you pay attention. You drive through other towns, you see what they do. You look at the sidewalks. they're planting trees, their sidewalks aren't affected. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But other towns are planting where the utility lines are, where they have their right of way. They're planting on the other side of the sidewalk closer to the home. And, obviously, yeah, you're going to have to rake. It's going to be more work, but it's going to increase your property values. It's going to benefit this entire town. I just think when you do the pros and the cons, the pros outweigh it. And we talk about buy-in. I think the residents are responding to this as we hear. And not to get too political, but 2 years ago, Teresa and Tommy ran a campaign that was specifically, we're going to do a shade tree commission. And I don't see many political flyers come to my house that say we're specifically going to do X, Y, Z. And they won that election. So I think the residents said, we're going to buy into that idea. The next year, last year, Matt and Tommy ran again for re-election. The same idea, shade tree commission. And they won in a landslide election. So I think there's definitely quite a bit of buy-in. And I think you can see it based on the votes from the dais. Who wanted to do a shade tree commission, who didn't want to do it, who changed their mind and then did want to do it. I think everybody does see the buy-in. I think you guys should just plant the trees. I'd hate to drive down the street and see an empty, barren property with no tree because they threw the mail away and didn't even go through it. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm from Paramus originally. I lived there my whole life until 2015 when I bought my grandparents' house here. And I have quite a bit of friends there. My roots are there. And they have the tree problem like everybody else does, where they have to cut down entire trees in neighborhoods. And you can go through those neighborhoods, and not only do I have friends there that I've done my investigating, because I'm a dog with a bone, they were not asked if they wanted a tree. It was just planted there. And they weren't really included in the process. The town had a shade tree commission that did the work like Mike is doing, and we see how hard he's working. It would be a shame to halt that process because somebody doesn't want leaves. And anytime you dig a hole in the state, you got to call and make sure there's nothing there as well. So that's kind of already a law. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Okay, I just want to mention, again, that Mr. Donatello is here. He's having 2 meetings for flood. One is for Delford on the 29th. Am I getting that right? And then the other one is June 4th for any residents, and that's for flooding awareness, what to do at the Delford if there is. I know he's been working on that, and I will be at the meetings. So I'm still trying to get the 4th down, but I definitely will be at the 29th one. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to say for the public at this point? No? Okay. They have a motion to close the public. Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes. Okay. So now we have the introduction of ordinances. Ms. Kim, would you please read them off? Thank you.
We have ordinance 123225, adoption of policy for totally disabled veterans and surviving spouses tax exemption on municipal property. Would you like to take a vote on each one, or should I read?
We can read them all. We can go through.
Sure.
We can do a total vote.
Okay. Ordinance 1233-25, amendment of Part 3, Chapter 204, entitled Swimming Pools. And lastly, we have ordinance 1234-25, amendment of Chapter 58, entitled Alcoholic Beverages.
Okay, any discussion? No?
No discussion.
Okay, may I have a motion to move these 3 ordinances?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Judge Carvello?
Yes.
And I just want to check on, John, do we have to vote on these separately? Or is one vote for all three?
No,
changes
as long
fine?
as they're all in favor of it, if there wasn't voted
have to
on,
call it.
of course, adoption has to be voted on separately.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, Mayor, I'm just going to read a quick statement. Notice is hereby given that ordinances 1232-25, 1233-25, and 1234-25 were introduced and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Committee of Rochelle Park held today, May 14, 2025, and order published in accordance with the law. Said ordinances will be considered for final reading and adoption at a meeting held on May 28 at 7 p.m. in the Township of Rochelle Park Municipal Building, at which time all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning such ordinances.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we are looking also going forward for a consent agenda. And we're going to be adding, was that 169 for the garden?
Yes.
Do we have language for that one? For the community garden at Carlisle Field?
I think the title can just be a resolution approving the designation of whatever that is known as for a community garden.
That's Carlisle Field, community garden in Carlisle Field. Is that language is good?
Yes.
That would be 169.
Oh, correct.
Okay. All right, notice is hereby given. The ordinance of You did that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All consent items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or citizen so requests, in which case the items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of the general orders. Okay, so we're going down and I'm looking at these. There were some that were called for their flags off of the consent agenda and individually voted on, and that was 165 and 166. And we have the 167 that you spoke about. All right, that's the escrow account. And 168 is the proposal by Colliers.
Yes.
And that's for the roof, right? That would be for the agreement on that.
Correct.
And then 169 is the garden at Carlock Field.
Can you hold 162?
One second, okay. Okay, so that's the appointment of A. Palladino as summer camp director. You want to pull that for discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
So my concern is if we don't have enough kids, that we cannot hire them.
What's enough kids?
Well, her salary, it's a self-sufficient program. So if we don't have, I think it's like 35 kids, we can't pay her salary and we can't pay for staff.
Administrator?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier in my report, Mayor. As of yesterday, or as of today, rather, we have 15 children signed up. The revenue created as a result of that was $13,500. There was money already in the summer camp trust fund left over from last year, which totals, including that $13,500, $24,089.64. Remaining in the regular budget for salary and wages for recreation is $8,000 because the only position we're filling or paying right now is the rec secretary. So assuming we don't appoint anybody director for that $8,000, we can probably borrow some of that. But again, you're looking at $32,000 and change, or $32,089.64. It's a higher to run a camp based on the salary and wages that it costs to pay our part-time staff last year was about $23,000, so we just don't have the funds right now, based on the limited enrollment. Now, again, looking back, Kathy left, but looking back to last year and year before, most of the signups occur late May to the first 2 weeks of June. So, the concern, and I know it's been advertised, I've seen it all over the place. I've seen it actually on the billboard out here too. So if the concern is, has it been through the school? I had sent it to Dr. DeNoble, and she assured me it was put on e-backpack, and that was weeks ago.
Maybe it could be resent again, just to make sure.
I could ask.
I know there's another camp that's being run out of the school, but sometimes the sign up, I'm going to be honest with you, maybe last year was, not last year, when my children were younger, it was like last minute, oh my goodness, summer's coming, what do I do? And that usually had at the end of May, beginning of June. So if you want to wait till next meeting to put her on, would she?
Her big concern was, and I know in speaking with Jen, who's liaison and ran rec for years prior to becoming an elected official, is getting a curriculum together and be able to book trips or, tighten things up. I'll reach out to Ashley and see. I would hope she'd be willing to wait.
It's 2 weeks, right?
It's 2 weeks.
I'm sure she has she's done it before, correct?
She ran it last year for us,
Right.
correct?
And I know it was a little bit different because you had a director there.
Yeah, and there's some, minor changes or improvements she wants to make, I'll say.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I was in day camp when I was a child.
Me too.
As you were,
Yes.
right? I know that we were in day camp as children. And you know what day camp consisted of?
Kickball.
Kickball, field hog running, checkers,
Bumper pool table.
Bumper pool table, tic-tac-toe. And that was day camp.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now it's pizza, it's ice cream, it's ice pops, and the money's not there. That's my concern with last year, we had recommendations account to cover what they could.
but you had a director at that time, right? Or a director.
Well, we still had a full staff for camp,
Uh-huh.
and the record, and camp director. They only had 35 kids. All these trips plans, and ran out of money.
I'm sorry, the director planned all these trips?
The summer camp director.
Right.
And the director, and I guess the recreation director. So
Work together to plan trips?
Correct.
Okay.
they exceeded the funds that they had, and it came out of recreation's budget, which affects our programs for the town. That's my concern is, if we don't get enough enrollment, we're paying essentially just for the employees. Kids don't get pizza, they don't get ice cream, otherwise recreation has to give that money out of our budget and take away from the town events that we do. It's supposed to be self-sufficient, so we're losing enrollment. A couple of years ago, we had over 100 kids, and it's dropping.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, the costs had gone up.
Well, yeah, but we can't really say that because the school charges.
No, I understand that, but there were parents who complained to me that I can't do this, the costs went up, and why did it go up so drastically? I mean, I directed them to your office to explain, but you're asking why, I'm telling you why. I know it had to happen, I'm not arguing that it had to happen, but that was the driver of it.
I can understand that, but the kids, there's triple the amount of kids in that program, and they're more expensive than what we charge. Much more.
That's also a STEM program.
But the cost is, so to say that what we're doing, people don't want to pay that, they're paying it for the school, for that program. So we're not much cheaper, but we are cheaper.
What's the cost?
Ours is, I think it was like 800?
900.
900?
And they're over.
You lowered it from last year a little bit.
And yeah, we lowered it this year. And now we still have less kids. So I'm just concerned with bringing her on that salary.
What's her salary?
10,000.
10,000. Then you bring on all of the counselors' salaries.
Well, you don't have to have that many. If you have 15, you have maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, we have more counselor applications than we do participants right now. That's a true statement. It is a great thing. It's wonderful to see the younger generation coming out looking to help and work. But
And when they pay for the camp, is it a one-time payment, or can you do it in installments?
so right now, the way it's set up in the SDL app is a one-time payment because we've run into the issue, and I had to chase down 2 to 3 families last year, and I didn't get the money until January or till December. It becomes problematic.
I know the other camp that you guys were referring to, they do it in installments.
They do.
Yeah.
Now, what's the age group in this camp now?
K through 6.
K through 6.
Mhm.
Do you think you would get any more for 7B? No.
That's the counselors.
They become the
Necessarily,
volunteers.
they're usually 12,
We
13.
had a lot of issues when we got past 6th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
TikTok videos were being made.
Yeah, you start mixing middle schoolers with elementary school.
And it was problematic for the counselors.
I would
trying
think
to
so.
control those, that age group, so we cut it.
I mean, I had Glenn Murphy as a counselor. And Joey Connor.
Did you really? They were
True
my
story.
neighbors. Okay. What solution would you like here?
I don't know. A table, maybe?
Table
And
resolution.
let's see in 2 weeks if we get more enrollment.
Like I said, traditionally, that's what the numbers show.
I'm
But
just afraid to bring her on and then say,
What are you looking for? What number are you looking for?
I just want to be able to cover the expenses for for the program.
Well,
How many kids is
that? That's, 10, 11 children, right?
It took about 35 last year.
10,000, right?
35 plus their.
I don't think you're gonna get 35. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think you're gonna get 35, but give me a minimum.
We would need 20 more, and we would need 20 more. And again, Kathy ran the numbers from the past 2 years, and from, the end of May, or the last 2 weeks of May through like the first 2 weeks of June, you saw an influx of like 21, 22 kids.
You saw.
That, according to, and again, that's just past experience.
$800, $900, whatever we're charging. They're not getting pizza, they're not getting ice pops, they're not getting ice cream.
Jen, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't get pizza, ice cream, ice pops, or anything else. I understand what you're saying, but because of the cost factor here, I don't know if we wanna do all of that.
I agree.
Is that every day they got pizza?
Every Friday. We did Pizza Fridays.
And do they pay for it?
It's part of what they pay, the $800.
Okay, and then ice pops?
We charge them like a quarter.
Okay.
So we're really paying for it, but even the activities that they were doing.
Well, the activity we used to do was go to the town pool. What did they have activity?
I don't know what you did last year, but I know they did a lot of bus trips, they did.
Yeah, well, we can't do that this year.
It's
Right.
not in the budget, they can't afford it.
Right.
So I'm just afraid parents are gonna be upset that they're putting that money.
So how do we tell these, how many parents now, 15?
15.
So how do you tell these 15 parents are not having it?
I don't know, that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah.
See where I'm going? They're counting on this right now, right? So we have to find out a solution for it. I think we should table that now, and I think that we should have discussion on it going forward. And if it does seem to work a little bit better by the end of May, beginning of June, because the next meeting, I think the June meeting is the 11th of June.
At that point, it would be too late. I think we have to make a decision by next meeting, just because
The parents need to know, the employees need to know.
the director needs to know what she's going to be
Right
doing.
now, you
with
would have
her.
to tell 15 parents that there's not going to be, and good luck, go find something else, right? And I don't know if that's fair enough to do so. And if we have to cut back on some of the stuff, or we have to take the money from somewhere else, and I know you don't want to take it out of rec. I understand that totally, but your budget is, kind of, not your budget, but the rec budget is kind of constrained also, right? So, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, like I said, Mayor, right now, there's currently, $8,000 remaining in the salary and wages portion of the recreation budget, in the general budget, that could be used to offset the $10,000 that would cost, and that obviously leaves $8,000 more in the $24,000 that's there to run summer camp for the 15 kids, but it would be how few counselors would the director need, and how fewer activities. Now, what we are adding is the pavilion, so they can do outdoor activities, like you said, and the spray misters will be there. So there's the option for that, and the town pool has always been an option, and has to be under the current lease agreement.
That's right. That's right.
One more question. What are the hours of camp?
8 to 4:30.
Yeah, so it's the full day.
Yeah, we're one of the longest out there. And honestly, you talk cost, and I know from current experience in Elmwood Park, it's cheaper, but they close at 2:30, so you pay for aftercare. And it costs about the same amount of money at that point of what we're charging.
Yeah. All right.
And every trip is supplemental. I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, go ahead.
And every trip in most of these other campuses, you pay an additional fee for those trips to Urban Air, the bowling alley, to the zoo. I know they went to last year. So that it costs, they elevate above the $900 that we're charging.
Yeah. But if I remember right, one time we went to Turtleback Zoo, and
Correct.
the parents were responsible. Remember Turtleback Zoo?
I do.
You're responsible for the cost of the busing and the trip itself, right? So everybody had to figure that out. I don't think we'll get a busload of 15 children, but I think we have to offer something. I just have a hard time telling 15 parents if they have 2 or 3 children already in this in this camp. Sorry, now I don't think we can go later than the end of May. I don't know if anybody out there can reach out to any other people, friends, family, anybody in town to see if you would be interested in it, and maybe this counselor, director, could come up with some ideas that are creative, that would be more attractive. Maybe that could work out too. I know she's an educator, right?
She is, yes, a special needs educator for many years, left the Hackensack district, now in community up, I believe, Dumont. Very excited about it, and, I know she does have her ideas and her plans. And hopefully as people get their tax return checks, they sign up their children.
That's true too. That's very true. I mean, the cost factor is tremendous these days with a lot of different things, but it is, I'm going to be honest with you, in my opinion, it's cheaper than daycares, right? It is much cheaper than most daycares that are out there, and they are watched, and they are getting pizza and ice pops and having some activities. So, all right, you want to motion to table this one, 162. Would you speak to Ms. Palladino about it?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I have a motion to table 162, 25-162. May I have a second?
Second.
A roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor George Carvello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so let's go down. I'm gonna go by numbers now again because a lot of things have gotten changed here. So we have resolution 140. They all start with 25, and it's dash 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155. And thank you to our dispatcher Guzman for his service here for Rochelle Park. 156, 157, 158, 159, 160. 161, 162, 160, 16, I'm sorry, I took off. Thank you, Caroline.
Sorry.
161, 163, because we tabled 162, 164. Now, 65, 66 were flagged, so it's 167, 16, correct?
Yes.
167, 168, and now 169. Correct, we got them all?
Yes.
All right, May I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Apici?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor George Carvello?
Yes. All
Motion
right.
passes.
So we got motion passed, right? Resolution passed. Okay, our next meeting will be held Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. And of course, any agenda is subject to change. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 9 p.m.
A second.
Second it?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Have a great night. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
A lot of